Hello and welcome to In the Kitchen with Matt. I am your host, Matt Taylor. Today I'm going to show you how to make a super easy 2-ingredient flatbread. Or if you don't have self-rising flour, it'll be a 4-ingredient flatbread. And it's soft and amazing and it's so good and incredibly easy to make. If I can do it, you can do it. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of my new videos. Let's get started. Down below in the description box, you'll find a list of the ingredients and their amounts, but it's really easy to remember. I have a large bowl here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 cup of sour cream, or if you don't have sour cream, you can use plain like Greek yogurt. So I will add that to the bowl. Or you can also make a homemade sour cream substitute. I have a video for that. Up there in the eye, you can find that video if you click on it. And I'll put a link down below in the description where you can find that homemade sour cream recipe as well. So 1 cup of sour cream or yogurt. And then I have 2 cups. This is 2 cups of self-rising flour. If you don't have self-rising flour, you're going to use 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then I'm not going to just dump this all in here. I'm going to do about 1/3 of it at a time. And with a wooden spoon, I'm just going to start mixing this flour in with that sour cream. And you're gonna just kind of push down with your spoon, wooden spoon, and get it all into that flour. Okay, and then at this point it should be very sticky. We'll add in a little bit more flour until you have about 1/2 cup of it left over. Okay, just keep stirring and mixing. And then at this point, what you're gonna do, let's just pour everything out. All that extra dough and flour. We'll just pour it out onto this table or countertop, whatever you want to use. And then we're just going to bring it all together and then just push it down and fold and push and turn. So we're just going to knead that extra flour in there. So as it gets stickier, we'll just dust the top and bottom with flour. Okay, until it's nice and soft and no longer sticky, wound up kneading it for about 2 minutes or so. And then I'm just going to kind of go around it underneath with my palms and just push it down so it's like that. And you'll notice I have about 1/2 cup left, which is totally fine. We'll use a little bit more when we roll it out. Then you can just put this back in the bag of self-rising flour. Or you can just put this in another container with like a lid and label it as your homemade self-rising flour for next time. And now I want to cover this with like a damp cloth or just like a damp paper towel. And that's going to help it to not dry out. And we just let the dough rest for 15 to 20 minutes, and that's going to allow the gluten to relax a bit, all right? Once the dough has rested, I will remove this. And now what we can do is we can divide it into equal parts. Now you can make 8 smaller ones, or you can do 6 medium-sized ones if you want, totally up to you. I like to do them on the smaller side. Just depends on what you want to use them for. And I'm just going to put some of the extra flour on top. And then I'm just going to go in half with my dough cutter here. And then in half again. And then in half again. So I'm going to make 8 small ones. And now what you'll do is you'll just take one of these pieces and we can just kind of roll it, or you can just go in your hands like this. Okay, so let's roll these up. Okay, and then just take a rolling pin and just put some flour on it. And then we want to just roll this out into a circle or whatever shape you want to do it. Doesn't have to be exactly a circle. All right, so just roll them all out like that. And then I'm just gonna put them on a plate for now. And you'll roll them about 1/4 of an inch thick, 1/8 of an inch thick, somewhere around there. And once you have them all rolled out, let's take them over to the stovetop. Okay, here we are over at the stovetop, and I heated up my cast iron skillet. I do have a new glass top stove, and so you have to be very careful if you're using a cast iron skillet on the glass top. I'm not going to be moving it around. I'm just going to put it down and not move that skillet because I don't want to scratch the top of the surface. You can totally use a different skillet if you want, but a cast iron is a classic skillet to use for flatbread. And I'm just going to put it right down there in the middle. And you can do several at a time. I'm just going to do one for this demonstration right now. And it's only going to take 30 seconds to about a minute per side. I have the heat set to medium, and then once the cast iron skillet gets to temperature, you can turn the heat down a little bit because it's going to maintain its temperature pretty well. That's one of the beauties of cast iron. I'm going to give this a check. I'm just going to take some tongs. Look at that, perfect. That's exactly what you want it to look like. It'll remind you of like a tortilla if you're used to making tortillas, but the nice brown marks on there, awesome. And what's cool about this flatbread is the outside is at first gonna feel kind of crusty and hard. Once it's done, as it rests, it's gonna get really soft, which is really cool. I love these. Again, after about 30 seconds, I'll test it, and you'll notice that it will rise up a little bit as well. That's the baking powder going to work. Yep. See that side? Looks great. So I'm going to put that on another plate. And I'm using metal tongs, but I'm not scraping I'm just lightly using it on this cast iron skillet. You don't want to ruin the seasoning. That takes a while to get that seasoning on that skillet. And you can use your fingers to move these around. I'm going to do a couple of them at a time here. Again, it's only going to take 30 to 45 seconds. All right, I will go ahead and check these. And if you're brave, you can just flip them with your fingers as well. A lot of times people will just kind of grab it like that and just flip it. That one's not quite done. That one can probably use a little bit more as well. So you can just grab it with your fingers, just don't touch, the pan because it's hot. I forgot to mention, you don't have to put any oil or anything on your skillet or in your skillet. Okay, that one's good. Yeah, that one looks great. That one looks good as well. All right, I'm going to finish up the rest of these. All right, the 2-ingredient flatbread is done, and I have them piled up here on this plate. And I'm going to grab this top one and just tear it open and show you what it looks like on the inside. Yeah, look at that. It's super soft and pliable. And I like it on the thicker side. It's just awesome. It's perfect for dipping into like soups and curries, or you can spread, like if you want to make like a breakfast version flatbread, you can just spread some butter on top and some jelly, or do some honey, or do some like cinnamon and sugar on top and eat it that way for breakfast. Or you can make a sandwich with it, or you can put like taco filling in it and just fold it up like this and eat it that way. So many ways to eat it. And it's so quick too. The whole thing comes together in probably about 30 minutes or less, and you can be eating flatbread. Once again, really easy to do, simple ingredients. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm Matt Taylor. This has been another episode of In the Kitchen with Matt. Thank you for joining me. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or requests, put them down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thumbs up, down the corner, push it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Take care. Time for me to dive into this. Oh yeah, I also just like eating this stuff plain. So good. Mmm.